good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ham Radio Basics Live, Season 4, Episode 24. Ham Radio News and Update, 6/17/2026. Hope everybody's doing well. Looks like we got a full house in here. Cooley's here. Welcome, Cooley. Let's see who else. Andy. Welcome, Andy. And Waypoint New England. Welcome. Good to see you guys this afternoon. You guys will not believe this, okay? You know, I've gotten a great response from doing top 10 lists, and we're just going to keep on doing that because people are really enjoying it. It's getting some useful information out there, and I'm just, if it's useful and people are liking it, we're just gonna go with the flow here. What was ironic was, okay, today we're going to be talking about top 10 reasons every ham should try QRP, but it just so happens that today is International QRP Day. I had zero idea on that, none whatsoever. So it's a real coincidence, as they say, that it happened to be on this day. It's fantastic, which is great, and yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. So it's pretty incredible. But I wanted to spend a couple of minutes before we actually get started on the PowerPoint presentation here. Just want to let everybody know, you know, this is one of my this is my favorite part of ham radio for me. Everybody has their thing. Everybody loves CW, FT8, you know, DX. I mean, I love DX. Don't get me wrong, but there's just something special about QRP, and it's really kind of it drew me in when I first learned about what it was and the challenges you face in using it, and I absolutely positively love it. For me, it's my favorite. It's my favorite point of ham radio. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right in and get started here. And we got a good list up here, and I think you guys will enjoy it here. So let me go ahead and share the screen. Let's go here. There we go. All right. All right. Top 10 reasons every ham should try QRP. QRP operation proves that skill, efficiency, and good operating practices can often outperform raw power. Here are 10 great reasons every ham should give low power operating a try. Thought, QRP makes every contact feel earned. It really does, because it really does here. Okay, number 10, it makes you a better operator. With only a few watts available, you quickly learn to operate smarter. QRP helps improve timing, listening skills, frequency selection, propagation awareness. Instead of relying on power, you learn how to make the most of band conditions and good operating habits. And I think I really like what they're talking about here, especially with band conditions, because they change from day to day. They change from time of day, you know, whether you're morning, afternoon, evening, or, you know, in the, later in the evening, at night. It makes all the difference in the world. And I think, especially with QRP, timing is everything, and what bands you select are really important. It will greatly increase your chances of being able to make contacts with 5 or 10 watts. So that's absolutely spot on true there. Okay. Portable operation becomes easy. Most QRP stations are lightweight, compact, and easy to transport. A complete station can often fit in a small backpack, including the radio, battery, antenna, coax, and logging gear. That makes QRP ideal for parks, camping, travel, field days, and quick operating sessions away from the shack. And, you know, my IC705 is in a bag about this big by this big. It literally has everything in there. I have an end-fed half-wave in there. And I also have that small portable antenna that you can set up. Radio Oddity makes a version of that. I bought it. I think it's called the JRP. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's something that you can set up. Whenever I do that, though, one of the things that I do with QRP, because I place such a heavy emphasis on a proper antenna setup, is I take my Chameleon MPAS 2.0 and I set that up, and I get some radials out there because, you know, I really need all the advantages that I can with, you know, if you want to call it physics and electronics and just, you know, the whole scheme of things. It makes a big difference when you have a great antenna set up. So, but again, yeah, it makes QRP ideal for parks, camping, travel, field days, and quick operating sessions away from the shack. And I can tell you this, I've tried more than one radio for QRP. I've had the 6100 Zygu. I've had the 6200. I've had both of those. They're okay, but I can tell you this. I have had the best success with the IC705. It is tried and true. It's really, I've always called it, to me, I've called it a mini 7300. It really kind of does everything. And of course, you got UHF, VHF on it too. So it really is just a jack of all trades and master of every one of them as well too. So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. All right. Batteries that last much longer. QRP radios use far less current than full power HF radios. That means smaller batteries, longer operating time, easier solar charging, less weight to carry. For portable or emergency operation, efficient power use can make a big difference. And the thought, less power draw means more time on the air. All of that is 100% true. And one of the things I like about the 705, it has its own internal battery. And there are two versions of it. I have both of them. And what I do is probably every couple of weeks, I rotate what I charge as far as those batteries are concerned. And I always have a battery on the back of the IC705. So there's one way of being able to get on the air. Two, of course, I could hook it up to an external battery and do that, and get my Anderson power poles, and I'm good to go there. I can also do solar if I want to have that opportunity to be able to do that. There are multiple ways of getting power to the IC705, and having those different options really makes a difference. Having those extra batteries makes a difference as well too. And because one thing that I have found out, if you're using this hot and heavy, okay, and if you're probably, and you can use, you can't, with the internal batteries, you're only good for 5 watts. But I can tell you this, after a while, you got to watch your battery monitor on the radio itself. It can kind of sneak up on you as far as how much time you have left if you're operating on the internal battery. If you're operating on the external battery, you should be good to go for a while, having one of the Bioenos up there or similar with Anderson power poles. You should be good to go for a long time. And what's really important, and I want to stop as well too, is the battery selection that you have for an external battery for this is very crucial. If you're going to be doing this, QRP, if you're going to be doing this for just a couple hours, you can go with just your standard battery. But if you're going to go and be out there maybe 5-6 hours, or a large chunk of the day, you want a battery that's going to handle it, and you want to make sure you have the proper amperage as well too. And there are videos out there on that. I just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware of that. You learn the importance of antennas. Wow, this cannot be more spot on. When you're running low power, antenna performance matters more than ever. QRP encourages you to pay attention to antenna placement, feed line losses, matching and tuning, height and orientation, efficient portable designs. A better antenna often can do more than extra watts, and that is 100% true. And I will never forget. Never. It is, Andy. It really is. Because you're hot. You're on a peak somewhere, and it makes a big difference. So yeah, being able to punch you only using 5 or 10 watts with that, you're 100% correct with that. Having that right antenna means the world, and that's why whenever I do QRP out in the field, I take my Chameleon MPAS 2.0, because I want to be able to punch through. Because everybody that's operating, more often than not, when you're doing POTA or when you're doing SOTA or other operations, they are going to be punching around 100 watts. And the best way, the only way to overcome that is to you really have to fine tune your antenna. Okay, you probably should take a meter with you as well too, an SWR meter, to make sure you're as close to 1-to-1 as possible on the band that you've selected. And it's huge. You need to make sure you do that. Also, make sure your radials are placed properly. Just don't be haphazard with them. Be methodical. Have them, have push pins. That's what a lot of people do. Have some type of push pins to hold those radials out there. It does help. It does make a difference. And make sure everything's connected properly as well too. That's, it's just a lot of these go without saying. But I think, and I know most of you guys know this, But when you get set up, a lot of times, if you have a loose coax, if it's not attached back to your radio correctly, there's all kind of things that are going to make a difference, and you need to make sure of that. Okay, 100%. So yeah, this is something really you want to pay attention to. Okay, every contact feels special. Making contact with only a few watts is exciting because the station is working efficiently. Even ordinary contacts become more rewarding, and long-distance contacts can feel like major accomplishments. QRP brings back the thrill of earning each QSO, and it does. It really does. That's something I think for me. I can tell you, my first QRP contact that I made with the 705, I hit somebody in Flagstaff, Arizona, from here in Tampa, Florida, which was absolutely amazing. I mean, here I am, and I was operating on under 5 watts, and I hit him, and I could hear him without question. And I recorded that session. There's a video out there on my channel on that, and I'm just so proud of that. I mean, it's just like, I don't want to say it's a badge of honor, but it was something to be able to make that for my first QRP contact with the 705. And I've been hooked on the 705 since. It's just, you just absolutely can't pry that out of my hands. It's such a great radio. And it really, when you do that and you've earned that QSO, it really feels good, and it makes you want to go out there and do more. And I think one of the things is that, especially for new hams, you really need to study your bands, what bands are active, what propagation is like. Don't just go out there willy-nilly and go across and take a look at the waterfall and start picking around. I mean, you can do that, but you're going to have much more success if you go out there, look at the propagation, look at the solar data for that day, see what bands are active and what bands are good in the time of day that you're at. And that's how I would suggest operating, is going along those lines. It makes a big difference. And it really does. QRP turns ordinary contacts into victories, and it really is. It's something just so special about it as well. Now, QRP radios are fun to use. Modern QRP radios pack impressive capability into small packages. Many offer DSP filtering, digital mode support, internal battery options, compact field-ready designs, excellent receive performance. There's something satisfying about doing so much with such a small station. That is so true for the 705. I know the Elecraft makes a great QRP radio, and I've seen it. I've never used one. And I've used the Zygo 6200, 6100, and there's a lot of faults with them. Okay, I'm going to probably digress a little bit. Software, probably with both of them, could be better. The 6200, I think it caps out at 8 watts, which is ridiculous as far as that's concerned. But one thing that I did do with my 705 is I got a POV cage for it, and I really feel very secure when I'm out in the field and taking that roundabout. That screen's not going to get damaged. The radio's not going to get damaged. It really does a great job in protecting the radio. It's a little wonky where the antenna connection is. It takes some time getting that set up, but once you get that set up, it's not an issue at all. But again, having that right equipment. I mean, it was an investment, of course, around $1,200, but it was a very wise investment because I really like QRP. I really like the challenge of it. And it gave you different options, especially the internal battery options on there. And there's 2 batteries that you can get for it. I have at least 4 batteries right now for that, 2 of the standard, 2 of the extended. And I think that's really kind of key because let's say, I run out of juice on a big battery that I'm operating out on, and I still have the other ones available as well too. So it's nice to be able to have those options. Okay, digital modes work extremely well. Weak signal digital modes are a natural fit for QRP. Modes like FTA, JS Call, and other low-power digital options can produce impressive results with simple antennas in just a few watts. For many hams, QRP digital operation is an eye-opening experience. Thought a few watts can go surprisingly far, and it's very true. I can tell you, though, I haven't done FTA before. I think that's something that's on my wish list of things to do. I think I may try that once I retire. I only have so many hours I can carve out during a week, but that's something that really piques my interest. It's very interesting, and I know a lot of hams kind of downplay it and say it's not really ham radio, but it is. It is a part of ham radio, and a lot of people enjoy that. And having that option of being able to do that QRP is, I think, very interesting. And it's really, it's another part of the hobby. It's what makes this the hobby of 1,000 hobbies, as somebody has already said before. So let's move on to the next slide. Number 3, it encourages experimentation. QRP is perfect for hams who enjoy learning by doing. Operators often experiment with wire antennas, portable masts, battery systems, lightweight feed lines, compact field kits. Small changes can make noticeable differences, which makes experimentation fun and educational. And one of my goals when I put my IC705 bag together was to make it a self-contained bag and self-sufficient. I have 2 end-fed half-wave antennas in there. I have that JPC antenna in there too. So I actually have 3 of them. I also have some throw weights, and I'll be able to get them up over a tree. God only knows how good my arm is to get it up over a tree. But I also have the option, and I'm seriously thinking about doing this, is getting one of these kits to attach to one of my drones, and you can just attach that line to the bottom of your drone. It has a release on it, and you can release that weight over the top branch of a tree, and you have a perfect setup for your end-fed half-wave. So that's a possibility as well. And that's another way to be able to do it. And the battery systems as well. Knowing how long you're going to be out for the day, I think is key in getting the right battery. Because like I said, if you're going to be out there for 2 or 3 hours, it's going to be different versus being out there for 5 or 6. You're going to want something that's going to have some juice with it. It's going to have some good amperage, and it's going to last a while. Okay. And I know Bioenno makes a ton of them. I have several Bioennos as well. I really like them. They're absolutely fantastic. They work great. So that's, to me, it really does. This experimentation is absolutely fantastic. All right, it can save money. A QRP station can often be simpler and less expensive than a full-size station. You may be able to use smaller batteries, smaller power supplies, simple antennas, and lightweight accessories. You don't need a massive shack or expensive setup to enjoy HF radio. And it's very true. I mean, you can, especially if you're creative and can really take advantage of things like, for example, our friend Walt, with his antennas and at the beach. And he's taking advantage of that wonderful place called the Atlantic Ocean, and being able to talk over in Europe and using QRP to do that. And that's just that's a great way. Salty Walt, you need to if you haven't subscribed to his channel, please make sure you do. The man is incredible. He has an antenna book out there at ARRL that is just absolutely fantastic, and it was from sketches and designs he's done on his own. I mean, the man is incredible. He's intelligent. He's one of the nicest people you'll ever talk to. I had it on the show a couple of years ago. Probably should get him on again. He's just absolutely fantastic to talk to. So let's go ahead to number 1 here. It has a new challenge to the hobby. QRP brings a fresh challenge to amateur radio. It combines skill, patience, efficiency, antenna knowledge, and operating discipline. Many hams discover that low power operating gives them a completely new appreciation for the hobby. Thought QRP proves amateur radio is about communication and not power. It is so true. You really can't say a whole lot more than that. And the one of the things that I'll never forget, early on after I got my first license for my technician license, I had an old gentleman come up to me, shake his hand, he said, "Congratulations." And he told me, he says, "Always remember something." He said, "You're always invest in a great antenna." He said, "You can you can spend a lot on a rig, but if you don't have a great antenna, that great rig is just going to sit there and be a paperweight," is basically what he was telling me. And it's so true. Invest in your antenna. And I think that's one of the things that QRP really teaches you. It really helps you hone in your antenna skills, and whether you're operating out of your home, like I've done multiple times, or you're out at a park, just trying to make some contacts. Whether no matter where you're at, knowing your environment, the antenna, where you're at, it really makes a big difference. And that's one thing. That's why I always take my Chameleon MPAS 2.0 whenever I do QRP, because I want to have something out there. I want to have options, okay? I have the end-fed half-waves in there, but I also want to have the vertical option as well, too. And one of the things that I have found, I mean, I really haven't done end-fed half waves with QRP. It's really all been vertical in timing of the day. And for the most part, I've been able to make some really good contacts, mostly in the United States. I haven't hit anybody overseas, but it's worked and it's worked well. I've heard people, I've had good signal reports about both back and forth. So it really does work, and it really works very well. QRP matches operating skill, encourages portable operation, improves antenna knowledge, and makes every contact more meaningful. Whether you run 5 watts occasionally or become a dedicated low-power operator, QRP is an experience every ham should try. Question for viewers: have you tried QRP, and what was your most memorable low-power contact? And that's a question for for you to be able to answer in the comments as well too. I think that's fantastic. It was great being able to share this with you. And this is one of the things that I have some passion about and that I'm knowledgeable about. And it really, when you have some passion about something, you become knowledgeable, you do research in it, you do deep dives, you learn some tips and tricks and things that will help you be able to go out there in the field and not have any issues. Or if you encounter issues, know how to troubleshoot them on the fly, because you may not always have access to the internet out there. That's for sure. So that's something that I would highly recommend. And if you haven't tried QRP, that's something I would highly suggest that you try, because it is just so much fun. I can't tell you how much fun I have with that. I mean, it's always fun. It's always fun operating HF from a 100-watt receiver like a 7300. I mean, there's no question about that. You'll make contacts. That will not be a question. You can have a marginal antenna, so to speak, and have that power, and that power is going to be able to get you on. But the one that's you're really going to hold, and you're really going to make a lot of contacts, is having that right antenna match for the radio that you're using. And that's why I think that Chameleon MPAS 2.0, for me, it's worked really well for QRP, and it's made a big difference. And one of the things that I'm going to try when I get some time is to try an end-fed half wave with QRP. I haven't done that before, so we'll see how all that works out. So I want to thank everybody for stopping by today. Chris, Cooley, Andy, welcome, guys. Thank you so much. Waypoint New England. Really appreciate each and every one of you stopping in each week, taking time out of your week to listen to my top 10 list every time. It's great seeing you guys. Really enjoy that. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm also going to be working on getting some more swag together, so stay tuned for that. And we'll have some swag giveaways for you guys. Just having a lot of fun and really enjoying things. And these top 10 lists have really helped a lot of people out. They've enjoyed them. They're going to continue. So hope you guys have a great rest of your week. 7-3, Cooley. 7-3s to all you guys. Take care and have a great rest of your week, guys. 7-3s to everybody.